Are you looking forward to the holiday season as I am? Welcome, dear readers, to You Are What You Read. We have got the world-renowned, internationally adored restaurateur, author, and culinary ambassador, the great Max TUCCI. Max is the third-generation partner of Delmonico's restaurant in New York City, which he led in reopening. Max is also the owner of TUCCI New York, one of our city's hottest new Italian restaurants. It's got Max's signature flair and cuisine and down-home glamour. Today, Max joins us with his gorgeous book, The Delmonico Way, Sublime Entertaining and Legendary Recipes from the Restaurant That Made New York. You can watch Max TUCCI right now in My Nightmare Stalker, the Eva LaRue Story on Paramount+. You're not going to believe this. The gorgeous, brilliantly talented Eva LaRue has to escape a 12-year stalker. Guy trailed her for 12 years. Where does she escape to? Florence, Italy, to the TUCCI's Palazzo. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming a ray of light in a weary world, the great Max TUCCI. You have made a career of celebrating your family connections, your family history, and your family contribution to the culinary arts in America with Delmonico's and beyond. So my first question for you is, Max TUCCI, the great Max TUCCI, my first question is, why are you so devoted to history?
All right, you ready?
I'm ready. I want to hear it.
So for me, I'm more devoted to ancestry than history, because without ancestry, we don't have history, right? Without those that came before us, what do we really write? We're continuing their story. So for me, it's about ancestry, which, obviously is woven into with history, but it's about celebrating, yes, the history of my ancestors, but also my ancestors' journey.
Well, you really believe, like the TUCCI family, your book is called The Delmonico Way. And there's recipes in here, of course, from the great restaurant, which there's no more delicious food on the planet. The cocktails, everything has a story that weighs into this narrative. How important is that family table?
My grandfather was known for saying all are welcome to the table. So the family table is where we all gather. It's where all are welcome. And to be able to continue my grandfather's, yes, legacy, but his motto, his desire, his request to have those come and join him at the table. He was having Kristen Jorgensen join him at the table when no one else would welcome her. He was having Lena Horne come to Delmonico's when it was taboo, right? So my grandfather was known for welcoming all to the table. And so I continue that legacy because the importance of the table is where we can all come and share our stories.
Well, that's so interesting because I was just talking to Father James Martin about this. The breaking of the bread, which was the Last Supper, which is the center of our Roman Catholic faith. I'm going to assume you're Roman Catholic?
Born into it.
Okay. So you and I share that. We share that cultural heritage. And
I was an altar boy.
Spiritual. Oh, I love it. And that spiritual. Oh, I bet you were great. I bet you lit the candles. I bet you were the one.
Oh, I was the one with the incense with too much of it, where they had to crack the windows.
Which I love, which just to overdo it is the way to go with that. But we're born into really, no matter how humble the circumstances or how much economic uncertainty, when we went to the Mass, and you come from a family of 7-day-a-week workers, so let's just lay that out there. I do too, in different areas. But when we went to that church, it was, yes, our spiritual seeking, our soul seeking that higher spiritual ground, but it was really spectacle. And in your life, Max, you embraced aspects of spectacle, the beauty of the show. So much of that is what it takes in the restaurant business in the first place. So could you talk about that a little bit? How do you take an ordinary nothing and magnify it so that it's a dazzling event?
Daydreaming. It's all daydreaming. And my grandfather came to America with that sogno americano, that American dream. But before he could have the American dream, he had to have the daydream. So for me, it's about daydreaming it into reality. And I always think as TUCCI, the new restaurant, and Delmonico's, since 1837, it's been there, right? It's a stage. It is my stage, and every night is my new audience. So, it's like the movie The Greatest Showman, you know, like I want to give them what they've been waiting for, and that's what dining experience is all about for me. For me, it's about taking it the Delmonico way, taking it that next step, the TUCCI touch, creating that stage and daydreaming a night of really honoring the guest, honoring the audience, and really welcoming them and honoring them and celebrating them. And sometimes you need a little spectacle, and all that jazz.
Now, now that's the Tucci. That's the Tucci. What did your mother's side of the family contribute to the Tucci legacy?
Thank you for asking. And in all the interviews that I've done, and it's been many, this is the first time I'm ever asked about my ancestors on my mother's side. And I'm going to take a moment because you're really going to make me cry. Because my grandmother and
Now
my
I'm crying.
grandfather, from Lithuania, they were war refugees. They left everything behind to come to this country to give my mother a better life. Oh my God.
It's
Oh,
okay. It's okay. Here we go. I've got the
oh
waterworks going too.
God.
Okay, we got the water.
And
And
so and so
yeah.
they came from Lithuania. They were war refugees. My mother, my precious mother, who lived in a
Yes, I love
displaced
her.
person camp for 5 years of her life. Her childhood was so traumatic. The Gestapo literally shot her dog in front of her. That's how vicious her childhood was. And so my grandparents, to leave everything behind, and they left like they were not poor. They had a wonderful life in Lithuania, and that war tore them apart. And so to think that my grandparents, saw the vision to
Mm.
escape, to endure the bombs dropping, to endure people killing themselves around them, to endure my mother's childhood being a traumatic one, to endure all the trials and tribulations that war brings. And they said, you know what, we're going to go to America. They could have gone to Canada. They could have gone to Australia. But my grandmother,
Argentina. I bet
Argentina,
Argentina was on the table.
and Mongolia was even on the table. And they wanted America. And so they had to be sponsored. And so my grandmother had a cousin who lived in Brooklyn. Okay. Hey, Brooklyn. and, um, and this woman sponsored my grandparents and my mother through the American Red Cross. And it took them, a long time to journey to America. And then when they got here, this cousin, okay, who they were so excited to meet and to have be welcomed into her home, she put them in the basement. And it was around Thanksgiving that they arrived. And she was creating this huge Thanksgiving feast. And all she gave them was bread downstairs in the basement and didn't welcome them to the table. And so that was their first Thanksgiving experience in America. But my grandmother, she looked like the Queen Mother. She was so adorable. And we used to call her machuta, which is the Lithuanian word for grandmother. And she was so huggable and lovable. And I could just imagine her loving on my mother so hard that made my mother such a beautiful person. My grandfather went straight to work. They were going to build, rebuild, and they were going to really take it to the max. And my mother, when I look at her life and when she was living in those camps, she'll say to you, if they had one potato and it was a good one, they were really, really lucky. And if it was a bad one, well, that was their bad luck. So my mother went from really, having no food to becoming the queen of Delmonico's with my father, to having this cornucopia of lavish food from seafood towers and caviar and oysters. That's how my father got her. Was like, and then the steaks and the dishes and the baccarat and the lalique and the ashtrays and the smoking and the wine and the wine. My father had the largest wine collection in the world. He was pouring Rothschilds and Lafite for like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of wine, at Delmonico's that then, he would serve. And my mother, fell for my very handsome father. But so my grandparents on my Lithuanian side, it was, it's interesting to see the duality that Oscar Tucci, he also came from a noble family in Florence, Italy, but he was more of the renegade. You know, he wanted to escape Italy. He wanted that American dream. His sister Fanny went to Argentina, and Oscar came to New York. But he had been several times with my great-grandfather Oresti. So they knew about New York. My grandfather fell in love with the landscape, and my great-grandmother was furious when my grandfather was going into the culinary hospitality world. But so to have these wonderful ancestors, you know, and I say their names because every time we say their name, their spirit surrounds us, right? So my grandmother, oh, she was adorable, Severina, and my grandfather Julius, and my grandmother Sesta, and my grandfather Oscar. You know, they're my four pillars, you know, and I never met Sesta or Oscar, but by writing this book, I felt like I knew them more than
Oh my
ever.
gosh! In the book, you're such a beautiful writer. You describe them. Max, tell the audience, share with the audience how you can love someone that you've never met.
How can I love someone that I've never met?
Because Seste, they're alive in this book.
Yeah, because they're
they're alive in it.
alive. They're alive in my heart. My Aunt Mary made it very, very well known who they were, right? So when you have an Aunt Mary, Tia Mary, who was the iron fist with the lace glove at Delmonico's, she continued their stories with me. She didn't let them die at the grave. She kept them alive. She kept their stories alive. She kept their energy alive. She kept their spirit alive. And so that's what's wrapped up in me, is continuing the storytelling of my ancestors. You know, there's a beautiful quote from the Bhagavad Gita that says, "For the soul, there's neither birth nor death. It's eternal and everlasting." And so if you believe that the soul is eternal and everlasting, your ancestors are always around you. That energy surrounds you.
You're so Italian, even though I also know you're Lithuanian. The Lithuanian side is the side that is the crystal ball side, the psychic side, the magical side, the art side, okay? And then the Italian is the practical, but there's also the magic and the maestro. Your father, in reading this book, could have easily been in show business. He was such an enigmatic character. But boy, did he build upon a family history. You know, Delmonico's is older than St. Vincent's Hospital, which was one of the oldest places. It was 1842. Your family got here first.
You know, and think it's, and Delmonico's is older than the Statue of Liberty. It's older than the Brooklyn Bridge. And I just found this out. It's older than the first flushing toilet at the White House. I just love that. But Mario
I
Tucci,
love to go to Delmonico's because, well, Tucci. We're going to talk about that, about Tucci. But Delmonico's it's where you go. It's the restaurant you go to celebrate.
Yeah.
Or it's the restaurant you go when you want the best on a Saturday night, or on a holiday, or a special day. Whenever I go to Delmonico's, I see people in their highest selves eating the best food in the world, but it's the ambiance. And I swear to you, Max, it's historical. There's ghosts in there, and friendly ghosts, but there's ghosts in that building that just greet you at the door and suck you in there, and it's like you're going to go on a ride. You're going to go on a ride.
You know, can I share a quick story with you about the ghost situation? So we have a very dear friend who we love, Whoopi Goldberg, right?
Yes, we love
and
her
Whoopi
very
comes to
much.
Delmonico's, and she's got a great story about Delmonico's, to the fact that she brought many, many years ago The View to Delmonico's. And Whoopi, you know, had said she never felt famous enough to go there until she became like an EGOT winner. You know, and she grew up in the projects around the corner. She shares the story. But we were sitting at lunch one day, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something, if not longer. And Whoopi goes, "Your grandfather's here." Now, you know she has that capability.
She does. She's a seer.
Yeah.
Or
So,
shaman. What do we call her? A shaman? Seer. Whatever.
you know, she is Whoopi. She is
But
Whoopi.
there's nobody like her, and there never will be again.
Right. So, you know, she's like, "Your grandfather's here." And she goes, "I just had a vision of those double doors opening. There's this backlight behind him, and he's walking in right now." And we were with Tommy, and
Yeah.
Lena, and the four of us are sitting there. And I say to the server, I said, "Can you grab a picture of us? I'm going to send you the picture." They take the picture, and above all of us are rays of light. Like
He was there.
rays of light.
He was there. Oh, doesn't that make you feel so warm and so not afraid
It
about
makes me feel that, and it confirms that their energy, that their labor, that their toil, that their love is woven into every brick and mortar of that building.
Absolutely.
And when I walk in there, I always say, Oscar, keep who needs to be kept and get rid of who needs to go.
And the rest of us are like, I love the vibes in here.
Yeah.
You feel blanketed when you go into Delmonico's. You feel embraced.
Thank you.
You feel like, oh, and then the food. Okay, I have to talk about, first of all, this book, if you're going to give everybody on your list come holiday time who can't make it to New York but wants to feel it and they can't get to Delmonico's maybe till next year, Max, the recipes are doable.
Yeah.
There's a white truffle and mushroom risotto, for example.
Oh, so good.
That is so good, but simple.
Yeah.
A lot of times the risotto recipes that I have used are so confusing and my stuff comes out like wallpaper paste. But when I made white truffle and mushroom risotto, it's fluffy.
Yeah.
But that's got that delicious buttery texture to it. The photographs, mine turned out just like the picture.
Beautiful.
I felt like it's got also the bells and whistles of Rizzoli, because of course you went to the best of the best, and you have the satin marker.
Oh gosh,
your favorite recipes, and I think that that's a sign of such elegance.
Thank you.
And such and you not only give us recipes, but you create menu events. And you called it Tunes and the Twist.
Yeah.
Sort of how you create an evening, a memorable evening, as you stack the recipes and the courses in a certain way.
My favorite one is the romantic affair, when it talks about my father and my mother and how he courted her. But let's talk about Rizzoli. And also a couple of things. That risotto, which became like famous on Good Morning America. The secret is the Mama Gina's secret. And please, whatever you take away from the risotto menu, take this away, everyone. Do not walk away from the stove. Mama Gina says you have to constantly stir it. You have to be there with it. You have to romance the stove, right? When you're making risotto. But this book was a labor of love in many senses. It took 15 years to write. I had a wonderful historian and librarian, Becky Diamond, who wrote the $1,000 Dinner. She also wrote the Gilded Age Cookbook. She knows what, if you know, and she knows. And so 15 years it took for this book. And not only 15 years, it also took many, 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 many rejection emails and rejection letters. Oh, yeah. And to the point where this was the feedback. I would have dinner with these publishers at Delmonico's in the private dining rooms. I would wine and dine and steak them and finesse them. Elvis used to sing in one of the movies, "No more hot dogs and sloppy joes. We're going to wine and dine at Delmonico's," right? No more hot dogs and sloppy joes. We're going to have steak and wine at Delmonico's. All right? Fine. Rejection letters. Now, I've learned in the process two things. One, rejection is protection. Always. Rejection is protection. And two, you remember Sherry Salata, who was the executive producer of Oprah Winfrey Show? So I had a show, Max and Friends, for 15 years on LA Talk Radio, and I interviewed her. She wrote a book called The Beautiful No. The Beautiful No. And what I learned is that the beautiful no will turn into the divine yes. And you ready for the moment it happened? Here's the Whoopi connection. Whoopi comes out with a book, The Unqualified Hostess. I do it my way so you could do it yours.
Loved it.
Publisher,
loved it.
Rizzoli. My mother, now we're going to go back in time. My mother, long time ago, said the only publisher for your book is Rizzoli. She created the foundation, and I had forgotten until she reminded me. So Whoopi has this new book, And I call her up. I say, hey, Whoop, let me throw a party for you at Delmonico's, because she mentions Delmonico's in the book. And she loves knife rests. I love knife rests. So we have that connection. Okay, I throw her the party, and it's a wonderful affair. We're in the Mark Twain room downstairs at Delmonico's. Mark Twain had his birthday there, December 5th, his 70th birthday. He had at Delmonico's. So all of a sudden, Charles from Rizzoli is there. This tall, lanky man, and he's observing me. And I'm doing my thing, and I'm hosting, and I'm celebrating, and I'm like honoring Whoopi and the new book. And Charles approaches me. Mind you, my lit agent is there. Charles approaches me and says, why don't you have a book? Now I paused, and I had this ancestral push and this courage that came from nowhere. And I have courage, but this courage came from like out of the bricks of Delmonico's. And it was this ancestral push. And you know what I told him? I said, Charles, in all due respect, the reason why I don't have a cookbook is because, or a book, is because you haven't published it. And I'll take a meeting with you next week. He agreed, took the meeting. I give him the manuscript, and here's what he tells me. I love it, but I want it to come more from your perspective, from your childhood, from your eyes, from your vision. Bring people to Delmonico's like only you can, and I will give you a book deal. I went home like those greeting card ladies with all the rollers in the hair and the cup of coffee and the cigarettes, Cartier menthols, and a cup of coffee. And I went to work, and I turned in that manuscript, and he gave me a book deal.
It's incredible. And you weave the threads of your mom and dad through the whole thing because you could tell you had the best parents. I mean, when you did your quail egg and steak tartare, I mean, my mouth waters at these photographs. Your dad sort of invented this, but then your mother added her little black bread toast points to it.
The
Give it that
Lithuanianness.
Lithuanian twist.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about you is the tapestry is everything. Now I have a question for you. I have an answer for it before I ask it, but I want your opinion on this. Why is it that everybody wants to be Italian?
Because our food is the best.
Okay. That's a good answer for a restaurateur to say, an author.
No, I think that is a loaded question with many faceted answers. Look, number one, we have such a strong love for family, right? Number two, we have a strong love for faith. Number three, the three F's, we have a strong love for food. So when you combine family, faith, and food together, that's like the trajectory of, the trifecta of why people want to be Italian. Happiness.
Of course, yes, they want to be Italian. I have a theory too, which I'm going to share with you right now, which is everybody loves Italy and being Italian and the language, the whole thing, the whole culture of it.
Che bella lingua.
Che bella lingua. Because every country on the globe, in both hemispheres, all around the world, every country and every people have a footprint in Italy since the beginning of time. The Asians came through with the silk, through Venice. The spaghetti, where did it come from? We know. Now we know it's China. The African influence from the south to the north. Think about it. Middle Europe and how it informs everything from tiramisu that was invented in Treviso to, and the Lithuanian culture. You can kind of weave it through there. You just keep weaving the Russian aspect. Oh, it's unbelievable. And as you start to do this, you realize, geez, everybody feels a part of that country. It was just voted the number one culture and country in the world that people want to go to and experience.
Yeah.
And so your dad, in his wisdom, took up the family business that had been in existence. How many years before? He was about 100 years?
Next year we're going to be 100 years. The TUCCI family will be 100 years in hospitality in 2026. And Delmonico's in 2027, 200 years as America's, Delmonico brand. It wasn't the first fine dining restaurant until 1837. That's when it became the first fine dining restaurant in America. but it started off in 1827 as a confectionery with Swiss Italian brothers, the Delmonico brothers. So it was really a confectionery. And, I'm going back to those roots of confectionery, and I have a chocolate collection that I'm going to be presenting, thanks to our girl, Laura Geller, on QVC in January.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the
Oh
Max
my gosh,
Tucci
I can't
luxury
wait.
chocolate collection,
I can't
inspired
wait.
by the grand dames of Delmonico's. Marlena Dietrich, who loved her Cherries Jubilee, the recipe's in the cookbook. Marilyn Monroe, who loved her grapefruit, the recipe's in the cookbook, right? So Gypsy Rose Lee, who would come and perform with the Ralph Burns Orchestra. He used to perform there, and Gypsy would jump on the table and shake her shimmies, right? So this was, this was my childhood. These are the stories that not that I lived at Delmonico's during that period, but these were the stories of my childhood, right? And so, yeah, my Aunt Mary with the pastina at night, talk about Italian roots. We would have pastina with zucchini, like my friend Chef Aisha is going to make for me. And I love the nostalgia. And we would watch Turner Classic Movies. Oh, Life with Father mentions Delmonico's. Hello, Dolly mentions Delmonico's. Girl with the Yellow Ribbon mentions Delmonico's. April Fools with Catherine Deneuve and Jack Lemmon mentions Delmonico's. So I was watching these movies as a child with la mia bella zia Mary. Lei proprio una donna spettacolare, la mia zia. She was really phenomenal. And anyone who has an Aunt Mary knows how special they are.
They are so
Una zia
special.
Mary. But so this yearning of understanding my Italian heritage and culture. I grew up in Firenze. We have the family villa there, 5 generations now with my nephew and my niece that we've been there. I go every year with my mother. August is our time to go. We do Firenze, we do Portofino. That's our time. But to be in Florence, to be on the same grounds that my ancestors walked on, and let's take it one step further, to press the same olives from the same trees that my grandparents and my father would press the olives from, and to be able to absorb this olive oil, right? This beautiful, rich Tuscan olive oil. And as I really enjoy it and savor it, I feel my ancestors even more. These are the same olives that they press from. Like that connection, to describe it candidly, minimizes it. That's how special it is.
It's amazing. And the fact that you as a little boy grew up to embrace the family heritage in the way that you did, when really, when I met you, Max, I said Max could have been anything he wanted to be. Max could be anything he wanted to
I
be.
was the
I
prodigal
look at you.
son, though.
Why?
I was the prodigal son. Remember, and you'll read in the book, my father died when I was 8 years old. Yeah. My father died when I was 8 years old. Okay. However, it was if he almost knew he was going to die so young because we were always with him. There we were, if we weren't in Italy, if we weren't in Connecticut, if we weren't in New York, we were always together. TWA back in the day at JFK, right? Or we would take the QE2. So we would always be with my father. Now, he passes away. And for years, I was really pissed off at him, like super pissed off. Not at the fact that he died, but at the fact that he gave me roles at such a young age that I should never have had the burden of. I was now the husband to my mother, the father to my sister, the brother to my aunt, and so on and so forth. And so I was in Florida. There's an ashram there called Kashi Ashram, and I was sitting in this train car. And I was meditating, and I was really like tuning into my father, saying his name, Mario, like, talk to me. It was like, the Lion King, when they look in that river and he's like, he lives in you, right? It was like that moment. And I heard my father say, crystal clear, talk about the Lithuanian part of, my heritage, that crystal ball, crystal clear. And he said, I died so I could give you your life. My death gave you your life. And I got it. I got it. New York Times was reporting when I was 7 years old that little Max Tucci is cleaning the ashtrays at Delmonico's. So they were already grooming me to be in Delmonico's. And my father released me from that life. I mean, the lifestyle of a restaurateur and this industry is a cutthroat one. My father died from a stroke. But it was such an intense, and it is such an intense industry. And he released me to go live my life, to go do my thing, to be in television, to be in radio. And then that calling happened. And they're like, Max, come home. Come back home. Delmonico's is yours. Do this. The Delmonico Way, Sublime entertaining and legendary recipes from the restaurant that made New York. Come back. It was inevitable.
This is not easy. What is the future of Delmonico's and TUCCI's?
I say this in all sincerity. I don't know what the future is, but I know who holds the future. I know who holds the future. And when you have that understanding, right? That no weapon formed against me shall prosper, right? When you have that understanding that yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. When you have the understanding that thy rod protects me and that rod becomes your ancestors, it doesn't matter what the future is because I know it's going to be taken care of.
Oh my gosh, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. 200 years of a family business, folks. Listen to that. And 100 years. And you can enter the world that 200 years of this beauty in the Delmonico Way by the great Max Tucci, who I'm proud to call my friend, with many more years ahead of us to have some fun and laughs and toast each other. And just meeting you has been one of the great joys of my life because, as we like to say down in Appalachia, my friend Max, you're the real deal.
Thank you. I love you.
Real deal.
And this jacket I wore when we first met, right?
I don't have mine on today, but I love it.
You know what? And you hugged me with this jacket. So your energy is with me here in my farm. I'm here at Delmonico Farm I'm going to go in a little bit, to the restaurants and, do my thing like Siri Macchione used to do, whose first job was at Delmonico's. People will read.
I bet it was.
And Tony May, his first gig too was at Delmonico's. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also Lalo Arpaia, Donatella's father, his first gig. And remember Fedora's down in the East Village on West 4th? Yeah. Fedora was my Aunt Mary's best friend. I have a cocktail in the book for her. She first worked at Delmonico's and her husband Henry. So it's New York history. This book now is in its second edition, which, as you know, for Rizzoli for a cookbook is very rare. And I was interviewed recently by Sherry Shepard, and Sherry's like, "Your memoir," and I was like, I never really approached this book as a memoir, but it is totally a memoir with recipes.
She's right.
And it is. It shares that story of that Sueño Americano, the American dream. And what gives me hope is when I look up at that Delmonico building, right? It's been there since 1837. There's Pompeian columns on it. Those columns were rubbed by everyone from Elizabeth Taylor to Marilyn Monroe to you name it, they rubbed it, right? And when I look up at that building, I have a belief that's so strong that your dreams are possible. Look, my grandfather's dream became possible. My father's dream wasn't really Delmonico's. He loved to sing. And, so Delmonico's was his stage. My father had the luxury to perform at Carnegie Hall where he had his debut, right? Many people don't know that. But, and I come from a family that has musicians in it. The great Catina Ranieri, whose husband was Rizzo Ortolani. She was the first Italian to ever sing at the Academy Awards. Yeah. And when you come to Tucci and you go downstairs to my wine cellar, there's a picture of Catina Ranieri there. There's a picture of Mario and Oscar at the villa. There's a picture of Oscar with his Cadillac because Oscar would bring Cadillacs to Italy, okay? He loved New York so much that he wanted to represent New York in Italy with a Cadillac. And New York license plates, those old ones. He had the old, they were like
Empire
yellow.
State Building on it.
Older even, with the orange and yellow and the black with the white writing. They were so old, right? And so I love to be a dreamer. I love to be a dreamer, and I love to come from a family that had such big dreams and aspirations, and to be able to carry on their legacy. I don't have children, and I don't think I'll ever have children. It might not be in my cards. You never know. Never say never. But for right now, my legacy is to share theirs and to continue a story that was cut short because of my father's death. They were running restaurants when they weren't publicists. They weren't managers. It was hard work. You rolled up your sleeves and you did everything from press to cleaning the pots. You did everything. And so
you had to hope somebody who ate there would tell somebody who
Oh,
would tell somebody because
you ready?
Delmonico's was a word of mouth sensation.
You ready for who that somebody was? Since
Who?
1959, she's been covering Delmonico's. Can you guess? Only in New York, kids.
Okay. Oh yeah. Don't say her name. Don't say. I could see her and I met her. Oh, oh,
Cindy
oh.
Adams.
Cindy Adams.
The great Cindy
Yes, and
Adams.
she was married. I bet her husband loved Delmonico's.
She has been covering Delmonico since 1959.
Oh my
I
God.
have when she had
And she looks as good today
you
as she
know,
did
she
then.
had an article back then called Cindy Says. That was her article. And then she wrote for Theater Magazine. Okay. So, like, when Cindy came to the reopening and the reimagination of Delmonico's, I gave her a gift of a picture with my grandfather and Cindy. And Cindy was wearing a polka dot dress. The picture's in the book. Polka dot dress, polka dot gloves. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And Debbie Reynolds. And I gave her that in a frame, and she rips open the box and she goes, "For me, for me, for me." And she looks at that photo and she goes, "Max, I still have that dress."
That's hysterical. And she could still get in it.
And she
That's our
can still get
Cindy.
in it. But you know,
Oh my
it's these
God.
stories that really that propel me, that inspire me,
Yes.
that encourage me, that delight me, that really they're everyone has a story, but it doesn't take everyone to share the story. And so really what I want people to do when we're going into the holiday season, right? When we're all at that table, is share your stories. Don't be embarrassed by them. Don't be timid about them. No matter how raunchy or how real, tell the story. My mother has some really good stories that she probably should never have told her children, but that makes me love her even more. And so share your stories. The table, yes, all are welcome to the table, but the table is the ultimate journal. It is the ultimate journal where you can sit and you can listen to these stories. And if you have the courage to write them down afterwards, or if you have the inspiration to record them, record the stories. I can't stress that enough. You're going to make me cry again because my Aunt Mary, she was very much the one that shared these stories. And I wish I had the recordings of them. But what I have from her, which is even, I don't want to say more special, but even is special, equally as special, is her journal. And she would write, Marlene Dietrich came to Delmonico's tonight. And she would write, Marilyn Monroe came to Delmonico's tonight. Elizabeth Taylor and Rock Hudson came to Delmonico's tonight. So she was preparing the book for me.
See,
right?
beautiful.
And when you look through the book, okay, for instance, there's a beautiful part of the book which are the end pages, right? Those end pages, those were the matchbooks from the restaurant that Roberto Di Vicchio Campeche, who's the designer,
So
did.
chic.
And everything in the book, every plate, every silverware, every piece of ephemera, everything my Aunt Mary saved. From the Ginori dishes to the Baccarat glasses to the Cristofal silverware to those pewter chargers to that wedge salad that you're looking at right now that my grandfather created at Delmonico's. But that one's from La Galou. And look, the baked Alaska originated at Delmonico's in 1867. And you're ready for a cool date? April 20th, 1868 was the first time that women were welcome to dine unaccompanied by men at Delmonico's. It was the first woman's only power lunch. I write about it in the book.
Everybody
Oh,
get it, and
look at that
up with
crudité.
it.
Now,
It's
Italians, you said breaking bread earlier. We love our bread.
yeah.
But my grandfather always had crudité on the table. And it was the ice, and it was that crisp celery and the crisp radish. He had the crudité on the table. How do we take it one step further, which we call the TUCCI touch, the Delmonico way? Fruit carving. Google it. Look on YouTube how to fruit carve. Take your crudité to the next level.
Gorgeous. We love you, Max Tucci, and this is the first of many visits on You Are What You Read. You have lit up my life. More to come. Crazy about you, you handsome devil.
Thank
And
you.
these stories, we hold the same values, my friend. And I love you for that. And listen, we were guided by the angels from the other side. They are so proud of you.
Oh,
So
and of
proud of
you.
you.
But before we go, two things. One, I never met
Yes.
your ancestors and I don't know anything about them. Can you share their names with me? Because I'm going to light a candle for
Yes.
them.
Here you go. Here's who you're going to light a candle
Go.
for. Michael Anthony Trajani, Yolanda, known as Viola Perrine Trigiani, she was Venetian. Lucia Spada Bonicelli.
Oh,
my
Santa
grandmother.
Lucia.
Santa Lucia.
She was the Santa Lucia.
My daughter is Lucia, named for her, and Carlo Augustus Bonicelli.
I love it. We say their names.
So say a prayer, and I'm going to say, and I'm saying.
I am.
And
I have a beautiful altar here. You know, that's from a church.
Oh, I love it.
And so I'm going to light a candle for them. But can I plug one thing before we go?
You must.
It ties back to Italy, where my mother read your book over this summer.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
I sent you the pictures. She's sitting by the pool in Florence reading the book, the Lake Como, view from Lake Como.
Yeah.
Right. So speaking of Italy and the villa, you know, there's a very interesting story that's going to be told coming up on Paramount Plus with the great Eva LaRue, who's one of my best friends.
Oh my gosh, we can't wait for this Eva LaRue documentary about. And she actually escapes a stalker and goes to Italy and stays with you. That's where she hides.
You know what? And we had the conversation. We were speaking about it. It's called the 12-Year Stalker, the Eva LaRue story. And this guy followed her and followed her and followed her. And she called me and she goes, Max, I just need to go to the villa in Italy, in Florence, and I need to run away. Can we please go? So the story unfolds to the point where there was even a situation at the villa. Remember, Eva was on CSI Miami, right?
Yeah.
And so there was this really intense moment at the villa. And oh my gosh, when you see this documentary, you will have shivers. And I know the story. I lived it. It made me lock the door. It made me lock my bedroom door, which I've never done. But Italy, it goes back to Italy, right? And that, you know, yes, it's an intense story. But the fact that Eva, the fact that you, the fact that myself, the fact that millions and millions of Americans and tourists all over the world flock to Italy, because there's something so tangible about that country. There's something so vibrant in that earth. There's something so rich in that soil. There's something so poignant in that air. And yes, when you taste the food there, it tastes better. And when you drink the wine, there's something more magical about it. But when you plant your feet and do it barefoot, step on that Italian land and let that vibrational energy of all those ancestors there climb up into the roots of your feet and grab your heart and hug it like only the Italian earth can do. And rent my villa.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And we can all go stay in the villa.
Will you come? Seriously, will you come and spend some time with me there?
I'm coming.
We don't have to run away from stalkers. Just come and like have some pasta with me.
I'm coming. I have a lot to tell you, and I'm coming.
Okay.
I love you so much, Max TUCCI, and we all love the Delmonico Way. Love you. And
you are the Delmonico Way. You are the Delmonico Way.
Oh my gosh, I'm following the Delmonico Way.
You are it.
I'll be happy to be it too.
You are it.
Love it.
Just with that rose, you've taken that jumpsuit and you've made it the Delmonico Way.
We could be together on an album cover.
We go together like Rama Lama Lama.
We should.
Ti voglio tanto bene.
Ti voglio bene.